Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you learn all the ways to grow their firm, sharpen their skills, and have consistent increasing sales. I cover topics such as detaching from the emotional side of the sale, having paradigm shifts in the most important part of your business, which is the nucleus of your accounting firm, sales, and how to see an objection really as an asset and stop giving away your time for free for those that don't deserve it, so you can actually get paid your value and your worth and grow your top line revenue. You'll learn tips, sales strategies, as well as hear from personal interviews from successful accounting professionals. This podcast will show you exactly the blueprint on how to create the firm and life of your dreams full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Our special guest is the president of Boomer Consulting, a company focused on guiding CPA firms to sustainable success and innovation. She has been on Accounting Today's top 100 most influential people in accounting and CPA practices, and is also top 25 most powerful women in accounting for over 10 years. She has a passion for facilitating great conversations and watching everyone she meets just a little bit better every time. But before we welcome our special guest to the show, I know that a lot of people here listening are tired of working long hours, tired of the low pay, little freedom. And if that's you, then make sure to keep listening. No matter what's happening in your firm right now, it is possible to work fewer hours, get paid more. I know you see it all around you. Firm owners grinding 14-hour plus days with little to show for it, burnout, anxiety, and on the verge of a heart attack. But that is not how we lead or do things here at the Abundant Accountant. I will show you how to build the firm you have always wanted. Charge the fees you deserve. Serve only the clients you choose, which we're going to talk about today with our special guest. And finally, have the time for what matters to you. If you're ready to make a change and create the firm you've always dreamt of, make sure to schedule a free breakthrough session with myself and my team at theabundantcall.com. I have helped hundreds of firm owners gain freedom, get paid first, and have the confidence to communicate clearly and confidently to their clients. And I know our system works, but you must take the next step. Every success has started right here. It's turned into confidence, charging premium fees, doubling revenue, less burnout, and the excitement for the future and for your firm. So book now at theabundantcall.com. Stop settling for less, and let's create the firm that you know you deserve. It's time for a change, and I hope to speak with some of you soon. So now let's welcome our special guest, Sandra Wiley, to the show. Welcome, Sandra, to the show.
Thank you so much, and I'm so happy to be here. It's going to be a pleasure.
Yes. Well, I've been excited to have you here on the Abundant Accountant Podcast and, just really talking about, I think, a really important topic about revenue replacement strategies and how to take your firm to another level with revenue increasing, how to grow smarter, not doing it harder. And I think there's a lot of people here who are on board for that conversation. But before we get started, I've already done your intro, Sandra, but I think it's just really great to have it come directly from you. So for those listeners that might not know you, could you share who you are and what you do?
I'd be happy to do that. So Sandra Wiley, I'm the president of Boomer Consulting. We are a consulting firm that works solely with, our entire niche is public accounting firms. We have been working with firms for now over 30 years, and we work in the area of helping to transform firms from the business model of today into the business model that they need to be in the future. And we work in the areas of leadership, process improvement, technology, talent development, and growth. And so in all of those areas, those are areas that the firms need to grow in and they need to innovate in. And today I know that we're going to be talking about revenue replacement. And so that is in our area of growth.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about the growth department, which on the P&L is the first thing on your P&L, revenue, sales, income, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I'm excited to go through this. And I know, Sandra, you have a really great case study that we're going to be sharing on maybe where they were revenue wise when they went through your revenue replacement strategy, how they grew smarter, how they didn't grow with working more and working a lot harder and banging their head up against a brick wall. So for today, we're just going to call them Jones and Company. And so I'm really excited about that. So what do you think for, a firm owner? And I know a lot of us listening are maybe smaller firms, you're not a public accounting firm and you're smaller, or you're in a job and you're trying to start your firm, but same principles apply. What is the first thing that one might need to do? Or can you share a little bit about Jones and Company when they came to you, where they were struggling? What were some of the roadblocks and hurdles? And that first step that you took them on the revenue replacement strategy track?
Yeah, I think this is when firms start really thinking about who their clients should be. And a lot of people talk about their ideal client. We might say it's your target client, who you want to go after. One of the hardest things that people have to think about is what types of clients do they really want more of? Because when some of our clients start their businesses, they just want clients, any clients. And so they have a tendency to take anybody. And in Jones and Company, the client we're talking about today, that was the case. They had a couple of owners that got together and said, let's start a business. And they did. And you can imagine when they started that business, it might have just been a couple of $100,000 worth of business. They grew that business to be about $3 million in revenue. And all of a sudden they said, gosh, if we want to grow to a larger firm, we've got to do things different. And the other thing that started happening was the profession started changing. And it when you talk about we want to grow smarter, not harder, the larger you get and the more clients you have, the more complexity you have, all of a sudden life gets super hard. And so it actually gets much easier if you have less clients at a higher level of revenue and you are able to do more with them. But that means you have to let go of some of the clients that maybe came in the door with you to begin with. That's hard. That's hard work to let go of some of the ones that you've always had. So you can imagine how hard that might be.
Yeah. And especially for some of these bigger firms, like Jones and Company. And this is something we preach and talk about here all the time, one way or another, that to work a lot smarter and not harder, we have to work with less clients and that generate more revenue and get rid of clients. And that is a really difficult part. So what were some of the first steps that you did with Jones and Company when they had to make that initial step on figuring out, okay, who is their target client? And like you said, it's not really the ideal client. Well, it is, but it's really about who do they want more of? Who can you actually define the difference between how you explain the target client versus the ideal client for us?
I actually think they're one and the same. I think it's one and the same. I think however you feel comfortable talking about that your best clients, that's that target client you want to go after. That's what we're talking about. But it's an analysis piece. You sit down with and you take a look at all the clients you have and you ask yourself, what are the best characteristics of the clients that you have that you love? And we have to really talk about, we have to really get down deep into who are the clients that you love, not the ones that are the easiest to work with, but the ones that are that value you, the ones that pay you on time, the ones that refer other work to you, the ones that do other work with you besides just one thing, the ones that come to you and ask for your advice about business, not just their tax return. There's a bunch of different things, right? So, and if you look at all of those things, and we do what a lot of firms feel comfortable with, which is do a spreadsheet, right? Take all your clients down the left-hand side of the spreadsheet and all of the attributes across the top ledger, and then start scoring them. And what you find out, and this is the hardest part, do not put how much money they pay you yet. That will come, but that doesn't come first.
Right. It's
So
not
take all the
about the
attribute.
ideal client, and it's not about do they pay on time and refer the work, even if they're paying you, 10,000 or 20,000 and they're your top paying client. They still sometimes top paying clients might be your biggest paying clients. And you just don't know until you
Absolutely.
go through this, analysis piece.
Yep. Go through that first. Score those, get a total, and then sort by the highest to the lowest number. Then put in two other numbers after that. The first number you put in is how much money did they pay you last year? So now you're going to put in the money, and in the next column after that, how many hours did you spend working with them? So now you've got data that you can work with. And what we tell people all the time, and it works out every time, slice off your top 20% of what you just scored. And about 80% of your income is going to be coming from that 20% of your clients.
Yeah. And 80-20 principle at play right here, Sandra.
There it is. It applies in everything we do, right?
Yeah.
But that's the 80-20 principle. And that's what you're going to look at. And what you really want to do then is take that and ask yourself a couple of questions. If that's your top 20%, and that's where most of your revenue is coming from, then what are the common services that those clients are asking for? And what additional services could you develop for them, or could you create for them that they would want to even do more work with you? So now you've got your target client or your ideal client. You've got, what kind of services you should be going after. You also will probably figure out what niches will become apparent to you that you're really good at. And now you also know what some of the new services. Now you may have to go and actually do some interviewing with those clients to find out what are some of the other things that we could be doing for you that would really help your business, that would really help you personally, because that will help you see what kind of new services you need to be building.
Yeah.
That will give you the foundation for how to build your business now.
And how long did that whole process take just to go through that?
That's going to take you. That's going to take you a whole year, at least. I mean, That's going to take you. That is not an easy process, nor is it a fast process, nor should it be. This is going to foundationally set your firm up for the next 50 years. So you do not want to make this like a weekend project.
Yeah.
This is something that's going to take you some time, but it is also going to set you up for success. So do it well. Do it really well.
So when Jones and Company did this really well, where did they start at and what did they transition to? So we have some context around, going through all these steps.
Yep.
Revenue wise, if you can share that, or,
they started at about 3 million. Mm-hmm. And they ended up at about 2.8. So they did let go of some clients. But then they grew the next year to about 3.5 million. Now, another thing happened to that particular firm, Jones and Company. The two owners that were there were the ones that started the firm. So they were the founding partners. One of those founding partners decided not to stay at the firm. It was, again, a painful process for him. Yeah. And he decided to leave. So they had another person that decided to become a partner. So they replaced the one for one. And then the other founding partner said, I kind of like being a part with him, not with the other. So at the end of the day, within a year after that, so now roll forward 2 years, they're at about 3.5 million. They ended up with the two founding people leaving, and now there's 4 brand new partners. Okay, so now we have 4 partners. Now here's the great news, though. They really had a foundation to catapult off of. They knew exactly what clients they were going after. They knew exactly what niches they were going after. They also knew what clients not to let through the front door. That's an important part of what we're talking about here today, by the way. Yep. So they had less clients, more focus, and they grew to $6 million in one more year.
Wow.
So they almost doubled their revenue in a year once they got very focused and they got some, I would call it juice, right? They got some juice in the engine with some new partners that were highly motivated to go out and sell the firm. And I would also say, which is unusual in some firms, they got rid of some of the baggage that comes with, I built this firm. Those were my clients, that baggage that comes with all of that.
Well, and it's
These
like
new
the
owners
legacy
didn't have
client.
that.
Exactly. And I think that's what you were sharing and alluding to earlier. That's the hard part, Sandra, for so many people and for all the firm owners I work with. It's like, Michelle, I've had these clients for 20 and 30 years. They're fourth generation and fifth generation. And oh, by the way, I've done their kids for free and yada, yada, yada. But it's just like, that goes against the whole, working smarter, not harder. And they wonder why they feel tired and exhausted and burnt out all the time. And when they make these changes, as you saw, the two original partners exited. They couldn't handle it anymore.
Yep.
What would you say to someone who's really struggling with letting go and doing this? I mean, I think everyone's heard this a million different times in different ways. And
if you're struggling with letting go of some of your clients, I will tell you, first of all, I understand, and I understand why it's hard. But if you want to protect your firm and your legacy, and you want to see your firm succeed as you're getting ready to exit, you simply must, for your firm and for the people that are coming behind you and are going to pick up the firm and carry it forward, you simply must allow some of the lower producing clients to go. You simply, and quite frankly, it is better for them too. If you do what you're supposed to do, which is charge them what you should be charging them, if all they're doing is a 1040, they can get that done at a lesser price somewhere else. They do not have to come to your firm to do that. And quite frankly, you shouldn't be doing those things anymore. That should not be in your wheelhouse. So it's hard. It is not, I am not telling anybody that's on this podcast, if you're listening, what I'm telling you is not easy.
Yeah.
But it is necessary. And it is more necessary today than ever, because there are less of us doing what we're asking you to do. And there are more people who need the higher level work than ever. And
they're
that's
not
what
getting it.
Playing.
Okay. So they take a year, well, for firms that have been around.
Yep.
Go through this process, create the spreadsheet with all the different columns. If you did not catch that, make sure to grab your notepad and paper and hit rewind and re-listen to it. What would be the next thing that you did with Jones and Company in order for them to see this growth, going from originally starting 3 million, let clients go, got down to 2 million, did the 80-20 cutoff, like you said, got rid of all the original partners, got in the new team, and now they're at 6 million. It just didn't happen just with identifying the target client. What was another element that is really important to this revenue replacement strategy?
Yeah, I think there were two things that they did that I thought were really important to their growth and their success. The first one was they created a really solid client intake process. So they made a decision early in their change in leadership and change in philosophy that they were not going to allow, if they were going to go through the pain and the process of letting go of some of their clients they should not be working with anymore, they were not going to allow the same type of client to walk through the front door anymore. And so they were going to make sure that they have this profile of their target client and only let those target clients come through the front door, and only the clients that would play the way they wanted to play. And when I say that, I mean, they had a very specific way that they were using their technology. And they wanted the clients to use that. They have portals that they're using. They had very specific reports that they were going to use. They used QuickBooks Online. So the client had to use QuickBooks Online. And so there was some training involved. So they actually took someone from within their team and made them the client intake, kind of the guru, right? The person that was going to. So anybody who wanted to do business with them, if they came through the front door or came through the website, they had to get through the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper was the one that would interview them, would identify whether they really had the kind of business they wanted to work with. They would get them to the right accountant to talk to them. Mm-hmm. Once they had been screened and it had been identified that, yes, you are a client that we will work with, then they went back to that person and she did all the training to make sure that they knew all of the technology before they would actually start working with them. So a new client, it would take up to 30 days before they actually started working with them, because they would teach them and train them their way of working. So that intake process was super helpful to their growth. Now, you may think that a client would say, what a pain. Why would I work with you if I have to go through all of that?
Right.
It was exactly the opposite. Clients felt so important by the end of it, that they were so important that they had to go through all of that to work with this amazing firm, that they felt special. They felt like they were really somebody special. And so it actually made them refer more people like them. So that's where part of their growth came from. So the client intake piece, I think, was a big, big change for them and very, very important to their growth. The second thing they did was they
anything real quick, I'm sorry. On the intake process, was there anything specific that you can share with anyone and firm owners listening today that you think is a must to have on the intake process? You know, I like to call it a qualification application. Are there any musts that you suggest to have on a client intake form or process that you?
Well, the must have is you must really understand what you are willing to take and what you will not take. I mean, you really have to be super clear on what you are looking for, and you cannot waver. You can't look at somebody and say, well, they're close. I think they might be close to what we want. No, it's either they are the kind of client we want or they're not. And you, and I mean, when I say you and your partners or your team members must be very clear on the client you are looking for. And then and it's not just their books, it's their culture, their attitude, how they are willing to work with you. I'll give you a great, and you got to be willing to let them go if they don't. So one of the things that was really interesting at Jones and Company, one of the most interesting things that happened early in their tenure was that one of their rules of the game of playing with them, you have to pay monthly. So they have it worked out. Their packages are worked out so that you have to pay them monthly for what they do for you. And one of the clients that they were onboarding said, oh, we don't work like that. We will just write you a check. And it had to be ACH. And they said, we'll just write you a check monthly. And they said, no, it has to be ACH. And this person threw in a fit and said, I will not do that. I write checks. That's how I do my business. And they said, and this was not a small client. So you need to understand, it's not like it was just an okay business and they went, no big deal. This was a good client, a client that was worthy of having. And the Jones and Company said, I'm sorry. If this is a deal breaker. If you can't function in the ACH world, we cannot have you as a client. This is how we work. And he said no. And they said, okay, fine. Then you'll have to find somebody else. So you have to have your go and no go kind of levers you'll pull. So
I call it the red carpet It's like, who are you going
Yes.
to let on your red carpet and who are you not? But you have to be really, 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 really picky.
Yep.
And to the point where you said, it's ACH. I have a lot of firm owners a couple other ideas for those listening, and maybe you have a few, Sandra, that you can chime in with is, you won't work with anyone who will do paper. If no one is willing to only go electronic and use your online portal and submit documents with that or some other, service like Lissia or whatever, then you're not going to work with them. So thinking about your tools and softwares in your firm, they must adhere or they are not going to work with you. I think that's a really big one too, because if you have some people doing paper and some people electronic, or like this person, some people paying you check and some people paying you ACH, you can't create the efficiencies. Like, Jones and Company got to 6 million. It was a well-oiled machine. And in order to do that, we have to say, who are we letting to our Emmy party? Who's coming and who's not?
Right.
You're the Emmy party and this is your invite only. And, the certain dress code is same thing applies. Certain payment codes. We only allow these forms of payments. That's it. Nothing else.
Yep. You got it. You got it. So the other thing that is worth mentioning here is also that they did sit down and create core packages of services. And I want the audience to think about years ago, and this was a long time ago. Probably some of you weren't even born then, but when McDonald's put together, it was probably one of the very first fast food restaurants that ever put together the small, medium, and large packages of food, right? And you go in and you look at the menu and you can either get a small, a medium, or a large. And you paid more for the large, but you got more. And most of the time people go, well, I'll just take the medium, right? So the same thing holds true for a package of services within a company. And so if you go in and you look at what a firm has to offer a client, rather than just go in and say, well, I just need my tax return done, or I just need my financials done, you sit down with them and say, okay, here's the packages that we have. And what I would tell people is, first thing, sit down and write down every single thing that you have that you could offer a client. And you might do that by niche, depending on how many niches you have, but look at every niche you have and then ask yourself, what are the things that we offer today that we could offer any client that walked through the door? Here's all the things that we could do, like make a checklist, and then say, well, if they didn't do everything that we do, at least they should do, if they really are going to perform well, they at least should do these things. And then if they didn't do at least those things, the very least they would do with us is these, and we could still work with them. So now you've got your small, your mid, and your large. And maybe you call that bronze, silver, and gold, or maybe you call it basic, premium, and enterprise. Whatever you want to call it, you can name them anything you want. But but here's what I would advise. First, sit down with your people and do that first. Figure out your packages. Never take a client unless they're willing to do one of those 3 packages. If they only want one thing, if they come in and say, I just want to do payroll.
Yeah.
Sorry. No. We don't just do that.
Well, and you know what? Sandra, I don't know if you're into Tesla cars, but that was always my dream car and I got it. And now I either have to buy my car or get a new one. So I've been looking at releasing the car. Tesla has done it this exact same way. There's basically only 4 customized things, or not customized, 4 buttons you can click when getting a new lease. I can click the color of the car. I can click the tire wheels that I want. I can click if I want the autopilot self-driving option. And then I can click, do I want to purchase or lease? That's it. I can't do anything else. And I think that's really important to think about. And if you look at where that company's at today, the more options we give and the more customization, it's a recipe for disaster. And I personally had an experience. I had a food company back in the day. Well, closed it in 2017. That's what I'm doing now. That's why I'm here. And we customized food. So we didn't do it like McDonald's. We did have food sizes. It was my whole mission, Sandra, was to help people get healthy one meal at a time through having a personal chef in a package. And we had small size, medium, large, and family style size, 4 sizes. But that customization, along with 20 other recipes on a rotating menu every week, was way too many options. And when you have too many options, it doesn't help have a well-oiled machine. We had to close the business. We just couldn't keep up with the competition anymore, and everyone getting 20 and $30 million investments. And I think if you look at some of the other places you go to, the places with too many options, it's too overwhelming.
Yep.
And with your clients, we want to steer them in the solutions that will solve their problems. So if it's the silver, bronze, platinum, gold, whatever you had mentioned for suggestions, just know that for the client, every option has to solve their major problems. It's just some might have more of you time or more direct access or something along those lines. But I mean, I love what you're saying. I just think for some that have a hard time wrapping your head around this, like you don't only do payroll. How does that solve a business client's problem? It doesn't. They need the bookkeeping. They might need the payroll too. They need the planning. They need the preventative work. Like you said, people need more, or the business owners especially need more from a firm owner on the front end versus just a one and done, see you once a year type situation. They need more, which is why you're getting rid of 80% of the volume and working with the top 20%. So
that's exactly right. So, I think after you have these packages put together, I think the complexity of your business becomes less, which is what you want. When you talked in the beginning about, and when we started this whole thing was grow smarter, not harder. I will say, I think business is always going to be hard. It's not like you just walk out there and go, well, hey, I got business, come get me, right? It's a hard work.
Otherwise, everyone would have a business. There wouldn't be any people that had jobs or employees.
Right. I mean, it's hard work, but what you want to make is it's not so complex. And I think accounting has made their business super complex sometimes. And what we're trying to say is it doesn't have to be. Yep. Know your clients, only take certain clients with certain niches. Know that you have certain services that you can do really well. Put those into packages and offer packages to your clients so that you can go super deep with the clients that you have and give them lots of things. And here's what will happen. Here's one of the things that I will predict will happen with your packages of services. I think they will start with maybe the small or the medium size, but once you've worked with them for a little while, they'll go, now, I know at the beginning you showed me that those other things that you had. What were those again? Because, we're doing so great with you right now. Maybe we do need that other group of services. They will grow to those higher level of services simply by you doing your job well. And what I would hope for you is that every one of the clients you have, when you're done with this, they're all at that gold level, like they're at the highest level. That would be the best. So I think that is awfully important too. And one other thing I was thinking about when we were talking about this topic was, so how then do you attract the right leads? Well, it's all about telling the story. I mean, I'm sure many of you out there have heard about story branding. And story branding is something that's been around for a while, but it is all about stop talking about yourself. I cannot tell you how many companies out there, firms out there talk all the time about this is how long we've been in business and this is how many awards that we have won. Right. This is me, and nobody cares.
No one cares. I always say that no one cares if you've got CPA after your name, EA, you have 2 masters in tax. I mean, I just talked to a firm owner the other day, Sandra. She's like, well, I have 2 masters. I've got an EA. And I'm like, great. How's your business working out? She's $300,000 in debt, has no money to grow the business. I'm like, well, doesn't matter what's after your name.
Yep.
It really doesn't matter. And your clients really don't care either. At the end of the day, it's about what you just said, and it's about the value that we deliver and the results we get for our clients. And that's
Yep.
truly what matters.
Yeah. I said it really comes down to talk about your clients' problems, tell them how you can guide them and help solve those problems, help them see what results they can expect after they work with you, and then talk to them or show them the results of other clients that you have helped by going through that experience. It's all about them. If you can show them that, you will get more clients. And what I 100%. Love is to hear those amazing clients out there, my clients that say, honestly, we almost don't do any marketing because our clients tell other people to come and see us. So it's like,
if you just ask for referrals, I know so many clients, I would say, Sandra, 90%, from the ones that I have phone calls with myself and my team, they think they have a lead problem. And I'm like, no, that's not the problem. It's just what everyone thinks. I need more leads. I need better leads. I need more leads. No, if you spend the last year identifying your target client, going through this whole process, those clients want to share their success with you, your services, and bring you more people. Yep. And it's just a domino effect. And if you ask for referrals, you don't have to have many clients. Especially if you have annual clients, they're paying monthly, like Jones and Company was. It's not a volume game anymore. And when we can stop thinking about, oh, we need more leads, or, oh, I need to get marketing, it has nothing to do with that. It's about just attracting the right target client, the right ideal client, and having those people help bring more of themselves to you by sharing it. But we also have to ask for referrals and do other ways to share, like you said, the story, not about your licenses and how many years you've been in business. Yep. Unfortunately, none of that really matters. Love it. Is there anything else, Sandra, that you can think of from the Jones and Company or, other ways on the revenue replacement strategy on how one can grow their firm a lot smarter, not harder, even though owning business is hard and owning a firm will be difficult. That's why many people don't do it. That could really make an impact for someone listening today that we just didn't hit yet.
Well, while I think it is hard, and while I think it is sometimes scary, and sometimes it is like, why did I get into this? It is also amazing, and it is also rewarding, and it is also the days that you watch your clients thrive, and the day that you find out, I helped my client and they're better today because I worked with them. It is worth every bit of pain you go through with a few. Mm-hmm. So I would just encourage all of those people out there that are going through the joy of having a business and the wonder of what it's like to grow a business. Do not give up. But also don't quit learning. Read, learn, grow. I am personally not I'm not one of those people that goes out and goes, go get 1 million letters behind your name. If you want to, that's fine. But there's lots of ways to learn. Go to conferences, listen to webinars, podcasts, just like the one we're doing right now. Continually feed your mind all the time. You will learn and you will grow and you will apply that learning and you will be amazing. I am convinced of that.
I am too. That's why I'm here. And I do this podcast on payroll dates just for you, just for you listening. And, and repetition is key. So if you've heard something similar to this before, know that it's just really good to get it ingrained, because I think, Sandra, everything you shared today was spot on. 100% alignment with everything I've talked about and, even some new golden nuggets. So thank you so much for being here with us today on the Abundant Accountant podcast. It was an honor to have you, an honor to hear the story of Jones and Company and how they, doubled revenue in just 1 year by really taking this strategy and approach, and knowing that letting go of those legacy clients will be scary. It will be hard and it will be depressing at times. But on the flip side, you're going to be so much happier.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining Sandra and I today here on the Abundant Accountant podcast. It was an honor to be here. And for those of you that are ready to stop settling for less in your firm and tired of those long hours and low pay and little freedom, then make sure to head on over to theabundantcall.com to book your call with us. We are committed to your success and will give you the specific next steps to transform your firm during our free breakthrough session. But you must act fast. Spots are limited. So make sure to head on over to theabundantcall.com to book yourself a slot with myself or one of my team members. We look forward to speaking with you, and I look forward to having you and seeing you on our next podcast.